Hello, White Mountains. This is Jesse Valencia with WME Theaters, and you are watching Movie Bites. Our guest today is Travis Holt Hamilton, writer and director of More Than Frybread. The film is out this Friday at the WME Village 8. Travis, thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah, thank you. This is exciting. Well, eight years later, so when the movie came out, we're hitting theaters again. What a filmmaker's dream.
I looked a little bit into your background, and you went on a mission with your church to the Navajo and Hopi nations, if I get this right, which led you
Yeah.
to produce and direct several films that are centered on indigenous or Native American narratives. Before we get into that, I'd like to ask how did you first get into filmmaking in general, and what made you go making movies is what I want to do?
Yeah, no, I was living in Utah and I was trying to get some extra income, and so I was looking through the wanted ads in the newspaper and found there was a casting, somebody looking for extras, and so I went and signed up and got in, was able to be an extra in a couple of projects, and then I had an audition and actually landed a speaking part in a film. And when that happened, I was on set for like a 3 week shoot, but I fell in love with the commotion, with the chaos. I was more interested in like what was happening, behind the camera, in front of the camera. Like everything was new to me, and I think I was driving the crew really crazy. They were like, we haven't the DP, who's still a friend of mine. It was like, we haven't seen somebody bit by the film bug for a long time, this bad. And so I was like, and I'm looking back now, I was like, oh yeah, I was just one of those probably pesky young guys. It's brand new on the set, like wanting to know the name of all the equipment. And but they were teaching me, there's a New York side of the camera, and Apple boxes and just all that stuff. And I was literally just soaking it up. And so once that film was done shooting, I stayed on with the director, and he kind of took me through the post process. So I ended up getting a little editing credit on that first film, first feature. And just kind of, off that first one, it's like, a year goes by or so, and that's where I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. And so I went, moved to Arizona and started going to a little, Scottsdale Community Film College, and kind of ran from there. Still trying to figure it out.
That's awesome. Yeah, like you learn by doing, as we say, right?
Right.
Okay, your films portray Native Americans and tell Native stories. How do you see the issue of in Hollywood with Native representation in mainstream films?
Um, I think things are definitely changing. You have a lot more variety of content and stuff, and now it's kind of turned to where it's more of a, people are trying. I feel like people are trying to, like, Hollywood's trying to do stuff to do better, and I think there's probably a good intent. And I'm so far out of Hollywood. I live in Arizona. Like I have a producer friend that's kind of he is my mentor now that I work with, is out at LA, and he calls me like the kid off campus that somehow is trying to figure out what's going on campus. And so anyway, I think there is things are changing. Things are changing with indigenous content. You have more experienced, natives that are creating content. You have more actors to choose from and stuff. And in my little world, not a lot has changed. I mean, my first film was a native female lead back in 2006, when Turquoise Rose came out. And so a lot of it's kind of what I've been doing without like a political agenda. It's
Right.
kind of what I've felt like I want to do. And ever since that first Turquoise Rose, with one of the first films to have a Navajo actor playing a Navajo character, like, oh wow, think of that. And like, and
Yeah.
it's just what I've done. And so it's, and seeing other people do it and stuff, and it's like, hey, great, like, catch up. So,
have you
but
have you
there
made?
there is there's it,
Oh,
no,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say, have you made all of your films in Arizona?
Yeah, Arizona, New Mexico. The border's so close, you kind of forget. Oh yeah, we're on the New Mexico side. Even in Turquoise Rose, I think we shot some stuff in New Mexico, and right there on the border of Navajo land and stuff. So, but yeah, you know, I think so. I don't. No, I shot some in Washington. Legends from the Sky. We shot some stuff up in Washington State, up on the with the Makah Nation, Nia Bay.
Wow,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this film coming out with us on Friday. Where did the idea for More Than Frybread come from?
So that was a few different little ideas that came together. I worked on a show called Arizona Highways, a television show, and we would go around and just all Arizona locations. We were somewhere, I think it was close to the Gila River reservation. I forget where it was, but we were in some office building. It was off the reservation, some office building, and there was we were shooting an interview or something, and on the wall there was a photo of a little fry bread stand, and it was like out in the desert, nothing around it, just kind of like very out of place, but just that image of a fry bread stand. Like it was closed down, so it was just the trailer. Like that image was one of those things like, wow, there's something to that. So my mind
Yeah.
starts running. And at that point, I'd made what, 3 films, and I was jumping from different genre to genre of movies, or trying to, and I wanted to do something along kind of the Christopher Guest line of a mockumentary style of film. And so, I'd been to like a fry bread contest or two at that point, and so I don't know when. I don't think there was just that one moment when it clicked, but there was all those little things that kind of guided you along that path of making More Than Frybread, that kind of came together. And like, we don't have very much money. We can shoot it kind of like this, and it kind of works. Get some great actors. There's lots and lots of great comedians and other people that haven't had no experience, or those that have had done great. Tatanka Means, Ernie Sosi, James Bilogotti, Pax Harvey, James June, and Teresa Choiwa, and that list that goes on of people that are very talented, that I thought this would be great if we could get everybody to be in this movie. And then we did, and then it was kind of trying to figure out as we go. I mean, that film was, in my mind, it was a lot of money to get it made, but in Hollywood it was very, I mean, it was 5 figures, so very very little on the big scope of things. But just really had a script. I had the actors like go through their lines, but allowed a lot of. I realized right away, because we worked on 5 reservations, 5 communities.
Wow.
Working, we tried to cast actors from those communities, and I tried to hire crew when we were there from those communities, and I just realized really early on that I didn't really know a lot of. I don't know everything. And so I left a lot of it up to the actors, like, okay, here's what's in the script. But if there's other like specific little Hopi things that you can put in just to add this, like we're really in Hopi, which we were in Hopi, but like add some of that stuff that me as a non-native outsider might not get. And so the actors really came through and added those little elements and stuff. And yes, the script kept us in line and kept stuff going and things, but having wrote the script, I knew like, hey, I'm not a perfect writer. I'm still learning and stuff, but it was just an experience to see like the power of that collaboration that can happen. When people are all on the same page, we're all trying to do, kind of that same mission, that same vision goal, and just trying to work hard and be open to ideas, whether, if it's a great idea, who cares where it came from? Like, pick it up and run with it. And
Yeah, never turn down a good idea, but don't compromise it with a bad idea,
right. Right.
What is do you have a favorite memory from production?
Well, yeah, there's a handful of good memories. One of them, I mean, comes to mind really fast, is the scene where Tatanka Means is in the sheep corral, and there was me. I was running camera. I was kind of doing sound on my own. Bo Benali was helping me. I think he might have had his brother with us, and then Tatanka. So there's what, 3 or 4 of us that were there, and I was like, Tatanka, get here, come over here, and jump in the sheep corral and just start doing some of your raps and doing some of that. And so just sitting there, trying to hang on a wide shot and just kind of letting him do his thing. At first he was kind of like, I don't know about this, but then you could tell he kind of got into character, didn't take
Yeah.
him too long. He kind of jumped right in the character actually after couple minutes, and then just kind of having fun with that. So, and that's played really well. See audiences react to that scene with him rap into his sheep, and so that's a fun. There's so many of those good moments. I love when I went up to Hopi working with Jennifer Joseph. I drove up by myself, and then I talked her husband into holding the boom pole for me and helping with the sound a little bit. But just the scene in there, in that that traditional peaky house, and the backside of the house, yeah, the little peaky house where she's making peaky on the stove, and just sitting there with me and a camera and her husband with the boom pole, and just like you can't really get any more low budget than that. you know, with the gear we were using, and just like, but just that of like, this is the real deal of here's, just being in a peaky house. And I think that's what they're called. I'm gonna, Jennifer may get mad at me for calling it the wrong thing, but just like, this is really, neat. She talked to the community, to the village, and got permission for us to come out there. And even in Hopi, a lot of times, even tourists, you're not supposed to even have a camera out there. And so just that was, that there's that experience, and those experiences were happening on those 5 reservations. And then the big, when everybody comes to Flagstaff for the for the tournament, the Frybread tournament, and stuff, where then I had a crew of about 25 or so people that were there, and to see, that competition go. Of course, there's one of my favorite scenes too, when some Frybread starts flying, and I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen it, but that's always a great part of it. But yeah, that film, there's a lot of collaboration. We shot in numerous, it wasn't like we shot 2 weeks straight. It was like we shot the big stuff, and then I was going by myself and collecting all this other material. So of course I don't know, over the course of a month or two, I forget, but so yeah, definitely some highlights.
With the industry being in a state of constant flux due to the pandemic, where do you see the future of independent film going, and how can we make more room for indigenous stories?
I I sometimes just feel like I'm so far out by myself. Sometimes it's just proximity to LA, and sometimes, well, it doesn't, like whatever the industry's kind of doing, whether I can be doing that or not. I'm kind of probably the wrong person to ask some of those questions to, but I guess I do have a little opinion on that. It seems like Hollywood productions are getting smaller. At least you have the big tent pole, but a lot of the other, besides those top 10, 15 movies that are made a year, all the other ones, they're like getting small. It's almost becoming more of an independent style of filmmaking. So I feel like independent filmmakers like myself and others that have been making films, well, this is just how we do it to survive and how we try to make it.
Right.
Like it's going more that way. And so it doesn't matter, where you're at. And so that allows for everybody that wants to just easy, more access. Equipment's more accessible. It's more inexpensive. And so, yeah, native, non-native, indigenous, whatever, like you have access more to that equipment. And so, yes, it's going to get in, there's going to be more productions made, more films made and stuff, but to me, it's still, a lot of it still comes down to the story. Well, it does. It all comes down to the story, and
absolutely.
And we have the equipment and stuff, the technology out there that you can help get that story across. But it comes down to that script. If you're trying to get an actor, like it comes down to the script.
Yeah.
So,
what is one of your favorite movies, or what is one of your favorite memories, rather, of seeing a movie in a theater?
Oh, well, there's a scene in Frybread where we're interviewing two of the Frybread security officers, and when we were shooting that, it's Ernie Sosi is the lead security guy, and then he has his little sidekick, his little buddy that's there, kind of in training, his his junior companion, kind of a thing. And when we were filming that, I wanted there to be a height difference in that interview. And when we were filming it, I just had the thought, we need to throw him on an apple box, or two apple boxes on California side. And so we stacked up two. And so for that last shot, I was like, we just need a shot that we see him. So it's shot on the ground. We see his junior buddy getting off of those two apple boxes and walking away. And I thought that my own joke was funny. And of course, some of the crew did too. And I showed my wife and she wasn't too. She's like, oh, that's stupid or whatever. And I was like, no, I think we're going to I still want to put it in anyway. And so seeing that and seeing audience react there's the interview and the guy's already shorter. His name's Julius Tooley, which he's been my cultural supervisor on a lot of Navajo specific projects.
Very cool.
And so you see that, and then at the end you see him step off, and I love because there's usually an increase of laughter in the audience from that, and so just one of those times where you maybe had an instinct that worked versus a time you thought something was funny and then it really wasn't. So that's a fun memory that I enjoy. Even if I watch it right now, and see that part, it would still bring back those memories and just the fun we had on set.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to our moviegoers in the White Mountains before they catch the film?
No, I wish I could be up there at every screening and meet everybody. And, if you haven't seen the film yet, seeing it on the big screen there, a nice theater, it's a great place to watch movies. If you've seen it, but if you've seen it before, but have never seen it on the big screen, I would go. I remember the first time I saw Frybread on you make a DCP, which is the
digital cinema package.
Yeah, that the theaters now play. And the first time I saw Frybread with that, going through that process, then on a projector in a theater, I was like, wow, this looks way better than we shot it. So,
well, that's good. That's better than the opposite.
Right. So just that theater experience is always like, whenever I can see a movie in the theater, I try to take advantage of it. So I hope it's fun. Native American Month. This has been a film that's traveled. I've personally taken it over 60 reservations, reserves across U.S. and Canada, and it's just had a lot of a long life that's still going. There's still people. I mean, it's on Amazon Prime now that people are just barely discovering it, and so yeah, I hope people that good turnout goes and sees the film, and maybe there can be some Frybread getting made there or something.
Oh man, I wish. Oh, that sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much, Travis. And for those watching, More Than Frybread, directed by our guest Travis Holt Hamilton, begins Friday at the WME Village 8. I'm Jesse Valencia, and thank you for tuning in to Movie Bites.